This is how much Elon and Trump are going to cut the federal budget by firing a bunch of federal employees. 0.16%. You heard that right, 0.16%. This is Doge math. That's what I like to call it. It's when you pretend like you're doing a lot of important stuff, but when you really investigate it, you're not doing shit. In 2024, federal civilian employees got paid $271 billion. But the majority of these jobs are actually exempt from Trump's cuts because they're part of the Department of Defense, Veterans Affairs, or Homeland Security, leaving only $108 billion of salaries to cut. And if you look right here, that would mean the government would only save $10.8 billion annually. And let's take a look at how much the federal government spent last year. $6.75 trillion. $10.8 billion is 0.16% of $6.75 trillion. Essentially, they're cutting a ton of important personnel for a rounding error in savings.
That's right. Donald Trump, already not the sharpest basket in the basket of fried chicken tenders, brings on Elon Musk, who's great at acting like he knows everything and in practice is not really good at the details of stuff and normally has teams of people around him that can make him look better, and he's just rampantly slashing those teams.
This is like a family with a severe spending problem and $1 million in debt going, you know what we're going to do to turn this all around? We're going to start making our coffee at home.
It's called Doge math, folks, and this TikTok influencer makes clear the great point that only 0.16% of the federal budget will be saved by this insane approach to in many cases, lifelong federal workers that have given their careers to try to work for our country, oftentimes in life-saving roles. And these cuts are significantly impacting the budget, not at all, but are significantly impacting critical federal jobs. So that's a terrible combo if you have a brain, but a lot of these people don't. And so they're kind of going, head first without the brain. I think they actually cut their brains on day one, whatever little bits of them were left. This is, as that TikToker put it, a rounding error, basically, in budget savings. And, they are critical to public safety, but who cares? Planes are crashing at a rapid rate. They've fired hundreds of FAA administrators. Nuclear arsenal, biggest in the world, thousands of nuclear weapons. They fired hundreds of the people that are safeguarding our nukes and taking care of the watching over nukes across the planet. Tried to rehire them the next day, but they couldn't get them back because they had already cut off their email addresses and didn't have their new contact information. So they look like idiots because they are being idiots, and so that's the best way to look like them.
Here at home, the National Nuclear Security Administration maintains and refurbishes and ensures the safe and secure storage and transportation and maintenance of our nation's thousands of nuclear weapons. NNSA runs the National Nuclear Labs. They develop nuclear propulsion systems for our nuclear submarines. They are the people in charge of making sure that terrorists don't get their hands on a nuclear weapon, or that nuclear weapons technology doesn't get stolen and sold on the black market. They're also in charge of making our new nuclear weapons and inspecting those weapons, and Trump is firing them. Firing hundreds of them. The agency only has like 1,900, 2,000 people. Thursday night, they sent out termination notices to more than 300 of them. By Friday, the geniuses in the Trump administration had maybe Googled what this agency does or something, maybe heard from a few members of Congress. And so after sending out those termination notices on Thursday night, they tried on Friday to take it back. They tried to unfire the hundreds of people from the National Nuclear Security Administration that they had just fired the night before. But because, again, they're geniuses, they fired these people effective immediately and cut all of these people off from their work email and all their work computer systems and everything. And then a day later, when they decided, ooh, maybe we shouldn't have fired the National Nuclear Security Administration, they had no way to get in touch with all those people they had just fired to say, oops, sorry, please, will you come back?
National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, that runs the National Weather Service and combats national disasters. They intend to cut a lot of those as well. At least it's not like we have a lot of natural disasters, right? I'm sorry, I'm being told that we have them constantly lately. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Rachel Maddow has a solution that I wish I'd thought of on my own. I mean, I did think of it, but I didn't say it out loud before she did. Take a look.
Has it occurred to any of you to maybe resign? If you're running a government this way, on national nuclear security grounds alone, have you considered resigning? People have resigned for much smaller sins and much less damage to their country than this.
Yes, resigning is not a terrible idea because the behavior of these people making these rampant cuts, these oftentimes kids with no experience at all in the subject matter in which they are being put in charge of, is not only reckless, it's dangerous. Republicans are starting to get restless even in Congress, realizing that Trump and Musk are taking away their power. They're closing agencies that were appropriated and created by Congress, and that they should maybe wait until the heads of these agencies get put in so they could actually know what happens at these agencies. A crazy idea, I do realize, and make more strategic cuts instead of just randomly, firing people that are safeguarding our nuclear weapons or helping us to combat the never-ending natural disasters that keep happening. This is an insane level of incompetence. I mean, Jesus Christ would be better at this, and he doesn't even have computers or no budgets at all. This is also affecting the home states of Republicans, where a lot of their constituents work at these agencies that are being laid off. So that, of course, upsets them in that way as well, while some are still sticking by the Trump administration because they're afraid and they have no backbone whatsoever. But there's rumblings. They're getting a little bit upset, and Trump can't afford to lose any votes. He only has 2 spare votes. He loses 3, and he loses any bill that he tries to put through Congress. And there's 3 seats, it looks like, up for re-election mid-term. And that could even switch to Democratic control to some degree, at least, in upcoming special elections. So, at least we've got the Republicans who are putting their foot down. I'm kidding. Did they not realize this is exactly who they were backing? Trump made it clear this was the plan. Doge bag Musk himself made it clear this was what he was going to do once Trump got elected. They announced Doge before the election, and now they're shocked it's happening. Isn't that weird to be shocked about stuff that you were told directly was going to happen and knew what was exactly going to happen? It would be shocking if it weren't so very obvious as we descend further and further into a nation that, like Fonzie in a motorcycle jumping over a shark, seems more and more day by day that it has jumped the shark. You can follow me on OnlyFans because that's where I'm at now. Don't worry, it's not adult content. It's just a different kind of content and fun things I'm putting on there at onlyfans.com/Ben Gleib, or you can follow me on Instagram at Ben Gleib as well. And my podcast, Last Week on Earth, because you never know, it really could be one of these days. Even though it's not what the title means. You'll get it if you listen.